So Constance, people talk about Abraham-Louis Breguet as kind of the greatest of all time. But what's really interesting about him is he's not just a brilliant watchmaker, but he was a brilliant businessman as well, And we're just about to go take a look at the very new subscription watch, right? Which is the very first overture in the 250th anniversary celebrations.
Exciting.
It's super exciting. But you know what's really cool about this story is Breguet actually thought about this watch and dreamt it up when he was in exile.
Okay. French Revolution, right?
Exactly. So a lot of people forget that, Breguet may have been like the greatest of all time, but he didn't just have like one success after another. He actually faced a lot of trials and tribulations.
Sure.
And the biggest trial that he faced was when he had to flee France because all of his clients were having their heads chopped off because of the French Revolution. Because he was the favorite watchmaker of all the royalty, especially people like Marie Antoinette.
That's right, yes.
Which he made this famous watch. So he went back to Neuchâtel, which is where he's originally from, and he was sitting around thinking about what can I do when I can go back. Now, very fortunately, he left in 1793, and by 1795, he could actually go back. When he came back with the idea for a subscription watch. So what is a subscription watch? Okay, this is his genius because it's the very, very first watch that's actually produced in series.
That's really cool. Oh, so wait, serially produced watch was not something that happened back then,
Dude,
right?
It was never a thing. So that's why watches were the exclusive domain of super rich people, right? Because a pocket watch was something that you customize, or maybe someone even take, the initiative to go and make something really extraordinary, but usually as a one-off, and then you would place it with a client, right? But usually it was something that was created as a bespoke creation between a client and a watchmaker. What complications do you want? What kind of dial do you want? What do you want on the case? What's the configuration of the metals that you're going to use? But for Breguet, he was like, it would be really cool if I can actually tap into an all-new market, which I would say in the context of the era was kind of like the upper middle class, right?
True.
And I want to give those guys, and especially a lot of military officers, the possibility to own a really great Breguet watch. And the way I can do this is if I make them in series. So he actually thought about it and he came up with a really brilliant idea. So the watch we're going to see today has just one hand, like the original subscription watches. Why? Because by making it simpler and more reliable, he could produce them in series more efficiently as well, right? And therefore he could reduce the price. So it's called subscription because you had to pay up front.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's a template that people are familiar today.
Because all the independent watchmakers.
Yeah, all the independent watches basically uses that format. Basically, you pay out a deposit.
Exactly.
I'll make your watch for you, and it's made to order. Basically, you subscribe to a made to order basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what you would do back in the days, if you wanted one of these subscription watches, you would pay 15%, right? Oh, sorry. I think it's like 25%. So what you would So how it worked back then was you would pay 25% of it, and then you would basically wait until your watch is finished. But by paying 25%, again, Breguet's a brilliant businessman, you basically covered all of his costs already, right? So he doesn't have any sort of capital outlay, which also allowed him to scale this business without capital because he's using the capital of the clients. Thank you.
That's a really interesting story because before
Thank
this,
you very
right?
much.
Thank you. Before this, I didn't really realize that. Now we are so used to all this subscription basis, all this serially produced basis, right? That we never actually thought that who is actually the first person that actually started doing this, right? Because in the 17th century, I don't think that is like what you said. It's not a thing.
Yeah, so the subscription watches start to emerge. I think the very first one, or the first time he uses the word subscription, was around 1796, but the first watches were to appear around 1797. So you're at the end of the 18th century. Actually, just a few years before he's about to create the tourbillon, which is really interesting because it shows that Breguet is innovating both on the accessibly priced watches, but also on the super high end. So he's like a genius, right? Because he's got I've got my kind of like accessible watches, and these clients, as they gain in wealth over their lives, because now I can tap into the youth market, or the younger guys, young officers, they will already be Breguet clients, and they will already start dreaming of what?
That's right, yeah.
A freaking baller tourbillon Breguet pocket watch later in their lives. So he's basically capturing clients when they're super young, or at the perfect time in their kind of ascent, both monetarily and probably in terms of their career as well. And later when they become, if they stay in the military and they become, majors or whatever, or they go out into business, or if they go back home and inherit their family estate,
they'll still continue
they will
to have
be Breguet customers for life. Right. And that's so ingenious, right?
Well, please,
thanks, bro. So anyway, it's the 250th anniversary of Breguet. And Gregory Kissling, who is the new CEO of Breguet, had decided that he wanted to celebrate with a subscription first. So what we're about to see, guys, is the new subscription watch, right? And this is something that we've really been looking forward to. Have a seat, and let's take a look.
Awesome.
Okay. So the first thing you're going to notice is this box, right? So show it to you guys over there. And this box is really cool because it is a tribute to the actual historic Breguet watches as well with this red leather. We're going to take it out of here, move this away. And we're going to, oh wait, I have to put my old man glasses on. Otherwise I can't see anything.
So we open up.
So this is really interesting because it's number 99. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the prototype. And every watch moving forward will be from the number 250 onwards. 250
to 5250.
Exactly.
Yes. So 994 actually, this is the number 994.
Right, exactly.
Right, and then I mean it's made with red calf leather, and look at that, the presentation of the watch, bro.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm going to take it out and put it on my wrist. So this is what we're talking about also. Now I want you to first take a look at this movement, and we'll start here. So this is using the signature innovation of Breguet, which means the barrel is directly in the center of the watch. Why is that? Because the barrel makes one rotation every 12 hours.
That's right.
Means it's directly connected to the hour hand on the front of the watch, right?
It's a spiritual one-hand watch.
The spiritual one-hand watch. Yeah, we joke about this because every independent watchmaker is making his spiritual three-hand watch, of which he's charging 90,000 Swiss francs for, with an enamel dial, you know, oftentimes with the Breguet numerals and Breguet hands. But this is a proper spiritual one-hand watch, also with an enamel dial Breguet hands.
Yes, no, but this is the true essential one.
It's a true Breguet.
It's a true
so
one.
this watch is rather remarkable because you have this innovation here, and then you have this incredible logic of the gear train, which I think is one of the most beautiful in all of watchmaking. You have a full bridge movement, and you see here that every wheel in the gear train follows this beautiful rhythm across, arcing over the barrel with its own unique bridge. So you have second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, escape wheel, and then balance wheel, right?
Amazing.
Now check this out. Look at the shape of those bridges. Does it remind you of anything?
It reminds me of a lot of people actually,
Dude,
the independent watch
every
space.
single independent watchmaker today is in some ways copying this configuration of bridges.
right.
We see it in so many watches from, okay, let's not say copies, paying an homage.
Homage,
Paying
yes.
an homage,
Tribute.
a
Yes,
tribute.
tribute.
So you see these shape of bridges into Offray with its tourbillon in Paris.
Zebdeb Rechepi as well.
Zebdeb as well. You see so many people that are using this. So if you come in closer, or we'll show you in close-up as well, you'll see this very beautiful grenet pattern here. It's a micro frosting, which is new for Breguet as well. And then you see that there's your hand angles here, hand engraving for the Breguet signature and for this script over here.
Yo, I actually have the translation of the script. It's very special.
Yes. Okay, so what Constance's talking about is the micro laser engraving that's on the barrel, which actually comes from when the pamphlets for the subscription watches were released into the public. So what does it say, Constance?
So basically, it is written by Abraham-Louis Breguet. All right, basically, it's called it translated. The layout of the gear train, the escapement, and the regulator are so visible and easy to understand that any aware observer can at a glance appreciate the harmony of the work.
So this is super cool to me because he means that he designed the subscription movement wanting to create the ultimate harmony in terms of the configuration of the gear train, right? And that's what you see here, and that's what your eye is so compelled to because it's such a stunning architecture for this movement.
It is.
Now, also, let's look at that oscillator. It is with a special hairspring. It is a Neva Cron hairspring.
Introduced in 2018.
Right, which is made primarily of titanium. Right?
Titanium, yes.
Right? And it's blued, and it has a Breguet overcoil, which is a coil that goes over the top of the hairspring, which Breguet created to help with concentric breathing, right? Then on top of that, you have another signature innovation for shock absorption. What is that, Constance?
It's called the it's called the parachute. All right, basically you give a bit of space to the what do you call it?
The jewel, right?
The jewel,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so that it can actually take a bit more, basically improve shock resistance. Let it have space
So what
to
you
move.
have is the staff of the balance wheel is mounted on a jewel, which is then kind of like held in place by the parachute, right? But the parachute has a flexible arm, so it's able to flex vertically as well. So when you get a shock to the watch, right, the balance is able to sort of like shift slightly in its space without it breaking, which is another one of his signature innovations.
Funny thing is, I read about this. This was already made in some of the early watches that Abraham-Louis Breguet has.
Yeah, I mean, he was such an incredible innovator, in addition to the tourbillon, the first wire gongs for minute repeaters. But let's look at the front of the watch now. And I have to say, it's absolutely stunning. It
is.
is like pure Zen reductionist beauty. You have a white grand feu enamel dial with petit enamel for the markers and the chemin de fer. You have a single flame blued steel hand,
right.
and this is all done by hand, incidentally,
Yes.
the flame bluing, right? And you have to get to exactly the right temperature for exactly the right time. Otherwise, the color will change.
That's right, yes.
It will become purple or something else.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have a chevet pattern. So a chevet pattern means that the dial is flat and then slopes dramatically at the sides, and the crystal does that as well,
Yeah.
which Greg Kissling just told us that apparently was created by Breguet, which
That's
is really
right.
cool. And what I also like about this watch is, even though it's paying tribute to the history of Breguet, it is also really kind of fresh and contemporary too. And what do I mean by that? Well, I love the new case.
That's right.
So
I
there's-
like the case as well.
Right? No fluting anymore. It's just
more.
got this really nice horizontal satin
right.
brushing as well.
And the droopy lugs as here is
And
really
the
nice.
lugs actually
Yeah.
slope down. So the only issue I would say with the original tradition was, and the size was great, but the lugs were very straight.
That's right.
You know?
Straight.
And so sometimes if your wrist was a bit small, it didn't conform so well. This is perfect because it conforms perfectly to the wrist,
Yeah,
even though it's a
honestly.
40 watch. And 40 I think is actually a great size for this because you're reading the minutes also off of that
That's
same
right.
hand in 5
Yes.
minute increments as well. And so that gives you the visibility that you need. It's 10.8 in terms of thickness
right.
as well. But yeah, a really cool first tribute to Abraham-Louis Breguet.
Yeah.
Now, can you see it's 6 o'clock there?
Yes, actually, it's so with certain light to the white grand feu enamel, you'll
Yeah.
be able to see the secret Breguet signature.
Yes.
That shows you basically the serial number that you see here as well.
Yeah, so it'll say that, and then it's got a secret signature on there as well. And what's really cool about this is that after the enamel is done, they're using something called a pantograph, right, which is a tool with a diamond tip
That's
to
right,
apply this. And where do they get this tool from?
Is it from the original workshop?
It is an original Abraham-Louis Breguet tool that they bought from the estate of George Daniels.
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
That is so. It comes comes round circle, right?
Absolutely. So you know what's really interesting is like right today we're talking about Derek Pratt. We talk about George Daniels.
that's
We
right.
talk about François-Paul Journe as these incredible watchmaking icons. Every single one of these guys was inspired by the great Abraham-Louis Breguet.
That's right.
And this is the watch that we're wearing here now with a all-new CEO, Mr. Gregory Kissling. And we have to say to you, Greg, you did a great job on this first watch, celebrating the beginning of your 250th anniversary. From what we understand, he's going to go around the world making different celebrations for additional watches until we make a full circle back to Paris. And I think the last event is going to be in Versailles Palace.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we're just saying that, you know, we could go to Versailles. I mean, you know, Greg, you know, right? Yeah, we have tuxedos. You got a tuxedo?
I will get a
He will
I
get
will
two.
a tuxedo.
He'll
I'll
get
get
two.
three.
He'll get three. You know?
Yeah, but this is a watch basically in terms of specification wise, you know, it uses a new patent gold called Breguet gold.
Yeah.
So it's 18 karat gold with a mixture of copper, palladium, and silver.
Yes, 75% gold, and
Yes.
then the remaining 25% is composed of those components.
Yes.
And the result is a gold that has a very signature hue to it as well, and it's a gold that Breguet actually used, which is super cool. So
That's
it goes
right.
to show you that Greg even went into the material of the gold.
Yep, he went really deep into it.
Now, when we look at this also, let's talk about the aesthetic creations of Breguet as well, because Breguet was not just a brilliant watchmaker, but he was a brilliant designer as well,
Yes.
right? And I think what I like what he introduced to watchmaking was sobriety. Right, so you know he created Breguet numerals. He created Breguet hands, which we have here as well. He created watches that use a lot of guilloche en main as well.
That's right.
And he did this all to separate all the indications so they were easy to read. Now, the pre-Breguet era was a period where people were making really like hyperbolic, a bit like Versace. You know what I mean? Where not
Okay.
Versace watches, but that style where it's like
got it. Over the top.
crazy
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
over
okay.
the top. And Breguet reintroduced sobriety. Actually, I should say introduced because I'm not sure if that really existed before. I think he introduced sobriety into design. And what people realize is sometimes the pure minimalism and sobriety of Breguet's designs were the best because they endure to this day, because
That's
so
right.
many people are quoting Breguet today, right? Breguet numerals, we see
Breguet
everywhere,
hands.
Breguet hands. I mean, in fact, even though, you know, the world's greatest complication brand, so to speak, their most successful watches all have Breguet numerals.
yeah.
Exactly. So there you go, guys. Anything else you want to talk about the watch?
Yeah, so just finally, this watch itself is not a limited production. That's a really good thing because you know, everybody appreciates Breguet, especially Breguet enthusiasts will have a chance to actually to own this watch. And the watch itself comes with this amazing presentation box that you see here, and also with a special book made for this, a 250 years book, the subscription watch book, which is given in every single watch. And the watch itself, it's retailing at 69,000 Singapore dollars, including taxes.
What's the warranty?
Now, Gregory Kiesling has announced that Breguet has now 5 years.
Okay, so I think that's really important as well,
That's
because
right.
you know the levels of like warranty service are very important to clients as
That's
well.
right.
You know, when you're introducing an all-new watch, it's always wonderful to have the reassurance that for 5 years, Breguet will take care of everything.
Yes.
So Greg, good job. We like you. We think you look really elegant in your new suits as well. You're a very handsome man.
He didn't wear suits, man, back
Yeah,
then.
he did. He was always wearing dress, but now he's in the CEO seat, right? You know what I'm saying?
Awesome, man.
Right.
I mean, I can't wait to, we love Breguet wholeheartedly. It's a brand that we all love and respect.
Yeah.
And we are very exciting for Gregory Kiesling to come on board as CEO, and we can't wait to see what's coming for this year for the 250th anniversary of Breguet.
And I would say the watch is beautiful both from this side, but dear Lord, also from this side as well. So yeah, exactly. Great job, guys. And if you like our content, don't forget to
Like, share, and subscribe.
and comment below.
That's right. See you guys next time.